What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? Your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming is back again with another Midday Monologue. Alright, so as you know, I come out during my lunch period, my lunchtime, and if I have something on my mind, I come out and I shoot it and I put it up for you guys. So, yesterday, somebody you may know, and if you don't know, you should get to know him, Jeremiah. He's over at the Board Game Renegade. Great guy, good guy. Go check him out. Subscribe to his channel. Check him out on Facebook. He's all over the place on Twitter. Check him out. He's definitely worth it. But he just dropped yesterday a video concerning zombies, specifically zombie games, that there are too many zombie games out there. Well, that actually wasn't his point. His point was people complain that there are too many zombie games out there. And overall, I agree with his attitude, because basically his attitude was get over it. It's just it's just another theme. It's just another genre. Okay? And by you complaining about it, by you kvetching about it, isn't going to make a damn difference to anything. And I agree with him overall, generally speaking, but Jeremiah, you got me to thinking again. And although I agree with you that there's no reason for people to start complaining about, there's too many zombie games. How come there's so many zombie games? You know, it's not like you walk into a gaming store or you go on Amazon and you type in board games and all you see or all you get is a list of just zombie game after zombie game after zombie game. So leave it alone. Leave it alone. But there is one thing I would like to address along the same lines. Doesn't have to do with zombie games. Has to do with Lovecraftian games. Games based on the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. Cthulhu-based games. There are too many of them. And I mean this, not in the sense that people will complain that there are too many zombie games. There are too many Cthulhu games. Let me explain myself. I understand what Jeremiah is saying about just leave it alone. You know, you don't have to buy it if you don't want it, so don't complain about all the zombie games. I understand that. Totally do. But my point about Cthulhu games is you're dealing with a theme, with a genre that cannot be duplicated, really, for a board game. Because if you are familiar with the stories of H.P. Lovecraft or some of his friends that wrote in the mythos world, such as Robert E. Howard, then you're gonna, I think that you would agree with me. There's no such thing, there's not one game out there, there's not one Cthulhu, Lovecraft-based game out there that is any good. Hey, before you start getting mad, I got about a dozen of them. Maybe a baker's dozen of them. Plus, on top of that, I'm waiting for Greater Than Games Kickstarter that I backed for Fate of the Elder Gods, which is a Cthulhu game. But I maintain they all suck. They're all horrible. Why do we keep buying them? Now, the reason I say they all suck is because if you're familiar with the work, if you're familiar with the stories, then you're going to realize that these are stories about intense madness. These are stories about a cosmic evil that is so huge, so large, puts us in our place as nothing. Nothings here on this world. In the great scheme of everything, the Elder Gods, they are so vast, not just in size and in mental scope, but of how they think, what they do, completely alien to the definition of the word alien. Yet there's tons and tons of games. Most of them are survival games, where you not only have hit points or health points, but you also have sanity points. Okay, yeah, you have sanity points in the game, but that does nothing to bring forward the sense of utter dread, hopelessness, that any good Lovecraftian mythos story does. It's impossible to replicate on a board. It's impossible to replicate in a deck of cards. And it is completely impossible to replicate with dice. You can't do this, which is why I say, even though I own at least a good dozen Cthulhu games, there are no good Cthulhu games. It is impossible to replicate what H.P. Lovecraft, what Robert E. Howard and others did when they were in the early stages of creating what later became known as the mythos, the Cthulhu cycle. Nothing at all. These games can't touch it. It's to the point where, actually in the stories, these creatures like Cthulhu, they can't even be fully described. They can't, because the human mind cannot perceive these things fully and still stay sane. Which is why any of the surviving characters in these stories are usually regulated to insane asylums for the rest of their lives. Because of what they saw, what they cannot describe, what their mind cannot handle. This is not a reason to, jump on a bandwagon and say, oh, well, the Cthulhu and the mythos stuff is public domain, so why don't we just use that and skin that onto a game? It's horrible. That's why they all suck. So that's why I say, enough. Enough of the Cthulhu games. We don't need any more. Okay, now, I hope you see my point, how this is different from what my buddy Jeremiah said about the zombie games. Because with the zombie games, he made a good point. These are perfect creatures. These are creatures that want nothing to do but to devour that which is the living. They have no ulterior motives, no Machiavellian plans. That's all they do. So yeah, they make a great nemesis in a board game or card game or dice game. It works out well, but I hope you see my point. There is no need for any more Cthulhu games. The ones we already have, they aren't Cthulhu. They aren't Lovecraftian in nature. They're Cthulhu only in name. There is no way that the sense of dread, of nothingness, of our lives as human beings here on this planet, there's nothing that compared to that in a board game. There's no way to capture that essence. It's dead on a board game. It's dead in cards. It's dead in dice. But because, it is a franchise that is free to use, that and it's familiar and everyone knows it, a lot of publishers, small-time publishers as well as the big-time and independent publishers, will jump on the Lovecraftian theme. They will jump on Cthulhu. They will jump on the Elder Gods. That these then become what they're able to do because they can't afford to, let's say, buy into the Star Wars franchise or the more directed for a horror game there. They can't afford to buy into the Freddy Krueger franchise, let's say, or the Hellraiser franchise. But this they can, the Cthulhu they can. So they do, and they do it a disjustice. Everyone that has ever published a game based on Cthulhu and the Lovecraftian work, every single one of them fails, completely fails, because they are never ever going to be able to reach down into what the story really is and pull out the essence of it and put it on a board game, put it on cards, put it on dice. It can't happen. So that's why, that is my reason, my solid ground reason for saying enough of the Cthulhu games until some new mechanism comes about where we can simulate that sense of nothingness in the universe, the meaninglessness of our lives as human beings, as board game players. It can never happen properly. And if it can't happen properly, just don't even bother to try to do it anymore. Okay? With that said, I love Cthulhu games. I know. I'm sorry. I love because most of them are cooperative games, and I do like co-op games. I'm a very good group. There's no real alpha player in the group, so that helps me and my friends enjoy the co-op games. But I love them. I love them, and I'm not getting rid of any of my Cthulhu games, regardless of my thought on the subject. But that doesn't change the fact that we need to stop making them. Stop. Please stop with the Cthulhu games. You're never, ever going to get that right. Anyway, I'm Big Johnny G. Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out. We're on Instagram. Check us out. We're on Twitter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button right down there. Throw us a subscribe. If you like this video or any other video you see, please go right ahead. Share it. Do it. Share it. Let your friends know about Two Gun Pixie. I notice I got a few more subscribers, and every time I do, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like there's a reason for me doing this. So anyway, as I said, I'm Big Johnny G. Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here.